Sean, I gotta say, that was a seamless plug.
But it's really hard for us. We grew up so close to our family.
It turns out the wife is actually cousins to Adam Thielen. Guys, I want to dig into your story. Like I said, it's very inspirational.
And we started doing a weekly Sabbath.
Well, we're back for another episode of Welcome to the Medins. That was pretty quick. The gentleman in the back was like, hey, is this going to be a fast changeover? And yes, it was. It was actually record timing right here. I'm really excited for you guys to get to know this couple. My sister, Catherine, and her husband, Tyler, are amazing. The things that they have gone through to be able to get to where they are today are actually inspirational to me. Pardon me? You are? Oh, yes. I know that I'm not as pretty as she is.
When I grow out my goatee, it becomes a lot more apparent.
She is my sister.
We look very much alike. And when he grows out his hair,
that's true. Yeah. You know, I really enjoy this. Actually getting to answer questions from real people during the podcast. So, guys, I want to dig into your story. Like I said, it's very inspirational. I mean, obviously there's a dating story, and that's pretty incredible. We don't necessarily have time for that. One of the things I wanted to talk about, though, was the fact that you guys, so there's 7 of us. And we've all been really close throughout the years. And the band has helped with that, Backyard Bash, all the ministry things that we've all been involved in. And in order for Catherine and Tyler to go after what they believe the Lord called them to do, it required that they move across America. About 2 days of driving worth away, which is kind of hard to be like, hey, Mom, can you pick me up? I'm dealing with something right now. When that happens.
I still say that. She says no, plane tickets are really expensive last minute, but I do make that call.
Yes, that's good because Catherine can still count on us. But I want to hear a little bit more about why the move to Phoenix, and I want to hear more about kind of that journey to get to where you are today. So if you'd like to introduce yourselves first.
I'm Catherine. I am not the oldest or the youngest, but I'm the smack dab middle. So I really fended for myself growing up. Found this guy. You can introduce yourself. I forgot your name.
Yeah, I'm Tyler. I am the youngest. And
not of our family.
No.
We're not siblings.
Nope. Yeah.
It's not that kind of
family.
No,
and Tyler's mom right here can confirm
Mom.
that.
Yes, she's oh good. My daughter's awake. Hi, Kiva. Yeah, so to answer your question, I am in training to be a pilot. I have my commercial license, but I need to build it up to be at the airlines. And we really felt that God was calling us over to Arizona. They have a lot better weather, and they don't have freezing weather in the winter. So
I do like the Minnesota weather better. It is not so very hot, but it's more reliable, I'd say, in Arizona.
Yeah. I think it's like 110 right now. So.
You guys imagine being out here during Backyard Bash in Phoenix at 110?
We'd make it happen.
This would be even less attended than it is right now.
Can I tell the story?
Yeah.
So we had decided that we were gonna move to Phoenix. We were just gonna make it happen. Sometimes in life you just gotta make it happen, and it doesn't really feel totally realistic. We live in Alhambra, Phoenix, like central. We live probably 15 minutes north of downtown. Yeah. And it was really cool how we got to get over there. First of all, we had like an anonymous donor who I don't even know if they knew that we had this dream to go. But suddenly it became possible that we could move somewhere. But it's really hard for us. We grew up so close to our family. And so we knew if we're going to move, even temporarily, we need to know some people when we get there because we can't just be all alone. And so we just cold called a church that we had heard from friends of a friend, and we said, hey, this might be kind of weird. We've never met any of you before, but can you just reach out and see if there's any couple who would like to be taken to lunch, and that way we'll get to know somebody when we move down there. So we go on this look-see trip to try to find a flight school and try to find an apartment. And so we spend the whole weekend looking at all these tiny apartments. We have 3 kids at that point. We didn't really know at the time we were expecting our 4th. And so we'd spend the whole weekend looking at all these schools and trying to make decisions. And then we end up having dinner at this couple's house. We had never met them before, just reached out through the church. And they invited us over. And we come in, and first thing is one of them's wearing like a Chaminade shirt for Camp Chaminade, which I think is up north. And we're like, oh, that's so cool. Have you ever visited Minnesota? They said, well, we're from Minnesota. So it was a cool connection.
It turns out the wife is actually cousins to Adam Thielen. I mean, that's just
so
kind
if
of
you
cool
wanna
back
know
when he
somebody
played for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. And so we're sitting there, we're telling them all about our weekend of our look-see visit, what schools we're thinking about, all these efficiency apartments we think we can afford. And the wife suddenly stops, and she's like, oh my gosh, I think we're supposed to rent you our house. And so we just started talking about it. We're like, well, that's crazy. This is a 3-bedroom house. We're never going to be able to move somewhere like this. Like, we're looking at tiny little apartments to try to squeeze our kids underneath the dining room table maybe, and we'll just make it work. And so we go back to Minnesota, and we all agree we're going to pray about it. A month later, we come back with a rent number and talk to them, and we ended up renting this 3-bedroom house for less than we would have had to pay for an efficiency apartment, just because God put us in the right place at the right time. And it's been so incredible. We got to know all of our community. We live in, I think it's supposed to be the 5th most dangerous neighborhood in Phoenix. People that we knew who knew Phoenix said, we forbid you from moving there. Please do not move there. And we just ended up in the middle of this pocket of, we live out in the country. We hadn't had like real close neighbors before, but all these incredible neighbors. And it was a real God, like if we were wondering, are we supposed to do this and make this move? We had so many confirmations right when we moved there that we were just doing what God wanted us to do.
So Tyler, what are some of the things that you've had to overcome to be able to pursue a dream? I think something that honestly is so discouraging is all the challenges that all of us face at different points in time, especially when it involves the pursuit of a dream. That can kind of, I think, knock a lot of people off track and get them to give up completely from trying. You have not. And honestly, Tyler has a little bit of a hard background. If you want to hear more about that, I'd encourage you to spend some time talking with him today. But can you take us a little bit more on that journey?
Yeah, and I'll make it brief because I'm 30 and I'm not going to go through 30 years. But yeah, it's so I starting out in life was born almost 3 months premature, and in the early 90s that was not as easy as it is today. And so there were a lot of medical issues with that, and doctors early on were saying, well, you're gonna have learning disabilities and might be issues talking and learning and all that stuff. But my parents were they were just like, no, we're gonna treat him like anyone else, and he's gonna go to school and he's gonna be doing everything else that other people are gonna be doing. And yeah, so I was in special education all growing up, and almost didn't graduate high school because my high school told me and my parents don't worry about college because he's not smart enough to go. So don't even worry about it.
When your place of education is encouraging you like that.
Yeah, and
his mom almost showed up at that principal's office.
I'll say there has been an email sent since I've graduated to ridicule them, and they didn't.
Via his
Mama Bear Beth. Wow.
Yeah, she laid down the law. But yeah, so they were not encouraging at all. But around that time, right around finishing high school, I met Catherine, and I met all of your guys' family, and the encouragement there was extremely high, and I kind of learned a lot about God and a lot about how God sees me, and one of the requirements to marry Catherine, because when I was finishing high school, she was already starting college, and and she was younger than me, so I'm like, she's way up here and I'm like here struggling. So
Catherine is pretty impressive, I'll be honest.
Yeah, and but one of the requirements was that I had a 4-year degree, because that's what she was going for, and I didn't learn about this until the speech that my dad gave at my wedding years later, but he wrote a letter to Catherine's dad, your dad too, that said, Yeah, it was yours.
No, he's my dad as well. We confirmed that to the individual out in the crowd that we are in fact related.
Yeah.
Our mom's not here to confirm that. She is somewhere, but she can.
Yeah. So he wrote a letter to your dad, and he said, "Please don't make Tyler do this, as in college. He's going to fail and lose your daughter and college on the same day." And your dad came back and said, I will never tell Tyler he can't do something because God sees him the way he sees him, and that's how I see him too, to paraphrase. And that was just something that, I was constantly being encouraged to do. And so my dream has always been to be a pilot, which is very hard to do. And so I've had a lot of support, and my mom has been super supportive with that as well. With when we moved down to Phoenix, she came down because our baby had just been born last September, and so she came down and lived with us for a few months just to help. And the Medin family has always been super supportive, and ultimately it's been God that has been there every step of the way. I mean, I had a really big struggle with a flight school for almost an entire year, and I really wasn't sure if I should continue to do it. I wasn't sure if I moved my whole family across the country for nothing. And the day that my daughter was born last year, a local church here that we attend, the Bridge on Thursday nights, they came, a couple people from there and a bunch of people from, all over. Most of them I don't even know. Like it's pretty anonymous, but it's definitely from God. Came together and gave me a pilot watch that is, way above anything that I could afford right now. And
one day the sponsor will be IWC, the International Watch Company of Schaffhausen, Switzerland. If you guys are watching.
Yeah. Got it.
See what I did there? I'd be great at marketing you.
Right. But that was they were directed specifically to this watch as a way, and they told me this is from God to encourage you that you're in the right place, doing the right thing, and keep going. So ultimately it's God that's brought me through it, but also the supportive family around me. So
what has that been like, living on your guys' own, away from everything, Catherine, at least you were used to? Tyler, I know that you lived in the house for a while before you guys got married as well, so you kind of got used to it too. What is that like now, family all these miles away? I mean, I imagine you guys have really established your own strong family unit. Can you tell us more about that, please?
Well, it's so quiet there. Did anybody grow up in a big family or have a big family? And you go home, if there's one of the 8 or whatever missing, you're like, it is so quiet in here.
This gentleman had 10. So
10? And you had 10 kids, or you're part of 10? Oh, hey, whoa.
Well done, sir.
You did it. You were basically a parent yourself.
Yeah.
That's the perfect mix. Perfect.
There you go. Half boys, half girls, huh?
But it's very quiet. Even when we lived here and we had a lot of families living together, especially during COVID, everybody was kind of moving into the same place. If one family left, there'd still be 16 people and be like, oh, there's only 16 people here? It's so quiet. So it's very, there is a time of day where there's no more noise. And I've never had that before. There's just no more noise.
Yeah, a lot
I don't know
less
if I like
noise.
it.
A lot fewer chores. It doesn't take us 7 hours to mow the lawn. It's really nice. It takes 15 minutes.
What about dishes? That's one of the things that takes me forever.
Kids put the dishes in the dishwasher and we run it. That's it. It's a normal.
Sounds beautiful.
It is. It's really nice.
Yeah. There's nice things about it being a small family, but there's a lot of stuff to miss here. I mean, if you grow up in a big family, you know that you can't take the big family out of the kid. Yeah. And it's hard. It's nice to have our family unit, like you were saying, and to I feel like we really have a good chance to get to know our kids as we just have our kids. It's not like our kids and kind of your extended nieces and nephews, and we miss out on that part. But I don't know. We'll move back to Minnesota eventually. Minnesota forever.
Yeah.
Although I do really enjoy getting to come visit you guys. I was talking with my wife recently, and we're starting to look at plans for next year and looking at having it be a pretty regular occurrence for us to go see you guys. I don't know how long you'll be in Phoenix, but say Escape the Cold every February
That's a good time.
to come spend a couple weeks with you guys.
It's not that cold here in February, right? It's starting to get up to, I don't know, the 20s.
That's almost shorts and t-shirt weather
This
right there.
this is about what
flip-flops.
it is all winter in Phoenix. If you have not been, so it's pretty nice. But yeah, and then the one of the things that we've done as a family, a couple of things is we've we've been teaching the kids a lot about God because we're homeschooling them and integrating faith and school as well. And then in that we've been learning a lot, and we started doing a weekly Sabbath where we just take one of my days off as we're not doing anything. We're just going to, obviously we'll do our Bible study and stuff, but otherwise we're not working, we're not making plans, other than just having fun family time. And then the night before that, we do a dinner where we focus on God, and actually our boys started leading it because we usually bring guests, and they lead it and have. They'll tell us, about how Jesus is the light of the world, and how God rescued His people from Egypt, and their fun thing is a lot of people think that God created the world in 7 days, but it was 6. He rested on the 7th. Like, yep.
They're
good
very
job.
proud of that knowledge.
Yeah.
You should ask him. If you see two little kind of taller twin boys in blue Star Wars shirts, say, how many days did it take God to create the world? Is it 6? It took him 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about a funny prayer one of your boys was praying the other night when you guys had some guests over. I thought that was pretty great because it just became very conversational with the Lord, which is awesome that you guys have established that with your kids, that they can just, really hang out and talk to God whenever. So how has faith been a big part for you guys in establishing the distance, your own family unit, homeschooling, and still, Tyler, you're working at an airport right now, and then in your spare time, getting the hours you need to finish out the hours for your commercial license. How does faith play in for all of that?
It is.
It's the only thing.
It's everything. I did not grow up as calm as I am. Well, I probably grew up like my parents wanted me to be calm. Maybe God didn't or something. But I was very anxious. And when we moved over to Arizona, apart from family and stuff, still very anxious and just kind of panicky about any little thing that would go wrong. And with Tyler being gone, either doing school or working all the time, there's just a lot of alone time, too much time to think. And at some point, I was just like, all right, this got to stop, panic attacks and things, and just being alone in the darkness by myself. And so with all of my spare time, I just started digging into God's Word. And I started, a big thing was just in prayer, just waiting. And, just not like, this is a 5-minute prayer and then I'm done. I gave God my 5 minutes, but just spending a long time just waiting for Him. And Tyler, too, with Bible studies and leading the kids through everything, it just has been the whole of us moving there, I think, was just to grow us closer to God, to be less reliant on our family, which is a very supportive family, but just more reliant on Him.
Yeah, and we try to have the God reach further than just inside our house too. At my work, I work over at the Phoenix International Airport, loading and unloading planes, and it's kind of the work environment you'd think of road construction or roofers or house builders. It's not. They're mostly sailors, language-wise, and a lot of gossip and a lot of just negativity, and so in order to kind of get myself away from that, even though I had to be in the office waiting or working, I just started. I brought my Bible to work. And I just started sitting there by myself, reading it to myself. And
when you're just reading your Bible out in the middle of work, people either just ignore you entirely, don't talk to that guy, he's a weirdo,
or they stand right at your face, just staring. And I actually brought a used Bible that I got for free. And Kat said, "Why don't you bring your nice one?" I said, "Because half the time I'm not sure if they're going to throw it against the wall." And so.
But I started some cool conversations too. With
Yeah.
people who were just like, "You believe in God? I believe in God. Can we believe in God together?"
Yeah, I've heard some stories of some really, really cool, instantaneous miracles that are crazy. Yeah.
That is really cool, especially getting the chance to bring faith at home and kind of show your kiddos how faith works outside the home too. That is just as effective outside as it can be at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I am honestly super happy to be able to have you guys here, though I'm very sad it's only for a week and a half and I leave for a week of that period of time. So I'm going to miss you guys yet again. But what is it like kind of coming back here from having your own family time?
I think it feels like we never.
It's like vacation, and it is. Like we never left. Probably going back to Arizona after this is gonna feel like when are we gonna go back there? And the kids immediately when we leave, they're like, well, first of all, they hate that they don't see the snow in October, and they're just like, when are we gonna go back? You have to tell us. They have to know before they go back home when they're gonna be back here again.
Yeah. Yeah, it basically feels like we never left because family's so close, and everything here is so peaceful. I mean, and a big part of that is because of God too, just like in the house, and there's just so much. There's a lot of stuff going on, but at the same time, God makes it peaceful, and then with it being like the weekend of Backyard Bash, like she grew up in music and I grew up working at Sunshine Festival, and like we've both been around music so much that coming back to the bash, even though it's like, well, I'll speak for myself on this, even though it's like super hectic and so much going on, it doesn't feel like a lot of work because it's peaceful, I'm excluding you only because
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on for you, but you didn't have to set up 2 stages for sound. I let you just like, hey, go hang out with the kids because I want you to have a break.
That's easy. Hanging out with kids, taking care of kids, so easy.
Such a good husband, letting your wife take a break.
With the kids.
I've really loved getting to have you guys back, the chance to be able to talk with you. I know I've been wanting to do a couple episodes of Welcome to the Medins with you for quite some time, even though it's Welcome to the Medins / Lexvolds
/ Greenwood / Gilbert's. Everybody's married now.
But everyone is classified as Medin in my phone for finding's sake. It's a little bit easier that way. But thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk with me today, introducing yourselves to everyone here, even though quite a few of these people already know you. I'm really looking forward to already getting to see you guys around Christmas, and then getting to do our little vacation in February. And I was also thinking about it. You guys should probably add a splash of color to your home with
I love that.
the old art house, some of their Formula One cars, and Le Mans paintings. My friend Tom Glover does a fantastic job. I will mercilessly and shamelessly plug him all the time. He's a fantastic artist, a fantastic guy as well. So I'd encourage you to go check him out. Follow him on Instagram at The Old Art House, or go to his website and buy yourself a couple of artworks. My favorite is the McLaren race team, so I have about 3 of those right now. And you can find him at www.theoldarthouse.com. But if you want to get to hear more stories about our family as well as other people that connect with, that end up joining the Medins as a broader family, you can also find us on YouTube and Spotify. Follow us on those, press subscribe, and hit that little bell notification so that way you never miss a new episode when it comes out. Thank you guys again for being part of this week's episode of Welcome to Medins, and we all look forward to seeing you guys next time on Welcome to Medins.